Hi there, I'm Ben Parrish, I'm the Agrarian Wizard, and it is my goal to create an enchanted food forest. I've been asked a lot what an enchanted food forest is, and I've been putting off that question, trying to make a better introduction video than the one you're currently getting. That's taking more time than I'd like. So I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of what an enchanted food forest and what my goal here is. I am currently developing the skills I need to do this, but the truth is this: an enchanted thing is, by definition, something that seems so amazing that it must have been produced by magic. Literally, it should be outstanding beyond what we're used to. And then a food forest, most everybody knows, is simply a different type of agriculture that utilizes more permaculture, more perennial style plants, and incorporates a greater maturity in the land. So, I come to this project with a philosophy in mind. We are often told to improve ourselves, improve our bodies, improve our minds, and everything within us, that eating a balanced but diverse diet of things is best. Exercise, everything else comes into play, but the most critical factor in what makes us up and what makes up plants and what makes up everything is what we consume, what we bring in to build ourselves with. Our DNA is so amazing that it can figure out how to build us from pretty much anything we put in our mouths. That's insane. I really love that that's the case. But as we all know, if you missing things and you have too much of some things, we get out of proportion, and we can get out of proportion so bad that we don't thrive, and sometimes where we die early. Now, this happens all the time with plants because they don't choose what they consume. They are left at the whims of whatever their soil gut can provide them with. Additionally, we've learned a long time ago that there's some basic nutrition that they absolutely need. And if you get this, it's good enough. And if you really pump up the nitrogen, it'll go quickly. So farmers everywhere have a job to do. And their job is to produce as much weight or count of a type of food that they can sell in bulk to feed as many people as possible. This is a good goal, but maybe it isn't the most healthy for us. And so I want to try a different approach. What I want to try to do is to give plants and the insects that work with plants and the bacteria that work with plants and every part of the life cycle the same level of extremely diverse but balanced nutrition, as well as providing a safe environment from predation, things like that, and without the use of toxins to do it. Now, it's another thing that farmers have just had to get used to, because one farmer needs to produce enough food for 10,000 people. It's an insane difference between how many farmers we have in this country and how many people need to survive off of the food they create. And what's even more insane is there's another level to that, and that most of the food produced in this country goes to feed animals. So none of this is really working in the same way that I imagine provides our DNA, our instructions, the right materials that they need to provide a thriving and so a magical being. Now, if you don't think that that's real or possible, I recommend that you watch like Deadpool and Wolverine, and look at Hugh Jackman. Seriously, that man is magical. Being able to at his age bulk up like that requires that he put in himself the ability to thrive, and of course his genetics plays a part into it, just like everybody's. But if you don't give the genetics the building blocks it needs to build a better and more magical you, then it's not going to happen. So that is my plan. I want to develop the skills, starting with tissue culture, so that I can create virus-free strains of individual plants, and to create the massive biodiversity that I want. Additionally, I will eventually have to run a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe in order to afford to purchase the land to build on and the materials and plants in order to create the food forest. Beyond that, I also plan to highly leverage insects as my employees. You know, they're going to help me create the vast amount of nutrition and chemicals necessary to feed these magical plants. And this is a flywheel that builds on itself. So as I get there and increase the number of species and increase the amount of balance and nutrition that's in there, the plants become better. And then the plants become better food for the insects. And the insects create better manure for the plants. And it builds and it builds and it builds. And in a period of anywhere from 5 years to a couple of decades, a forest of unparalleled productivity, just magical to behold, is my goal. And I think it's a worthy goal. Now, some might be asking, why not just save up the money to do this kind of work? Why go to the funding? And I'll tell you, I am not a businessman. I have lived 40 years and never achieved a great deal of wealth. Even with, it's just not in my nature to pursue wealth like that. And I am inclined to believe that a project of this nature is best served when it holds no economic goals. My goal should always be to create the most thriving ecological system to provide the most nutritious food. Now, I know some of you are wondering, like, oh yeah, we'll just end up dumping a whole bunch of nutrition into the ground that the plants simply won't use. Like we don't process everything that we eat. We don't have any use for dietary fiber. If I was to eat grass, it would just come out. We don't process cellulose. I mean, the cow needs like so many stomachs and a whole bunch of different things just to be able to process a small portion of the grass that they eat. So the question is this really going to work? Is it really going to make a difference? And I would point out the fact that the vast majority of flavor and nutrition that we get from our plants is scientifically shown to be missing in plants that are sped up, plants that are fed nitrogen and don't have enough time to receive, or just availability to other nutrients, and that nutrient deficiency does in fact pass on to us. Now, I am of course not an expert. I've never done this before. I have no actual qualifications that say I should be able to do this, but I'm smart and I'm determined, and I believe that it will work. And because I'm smart, determined, and I believe it'll work, I will keep trying. One thing after another thing after another thing until it happens. It's Monday, and on Mondays, our trash comes and gets picked up. So I'm just gonna wait until it's over and edit that part out of the video. That's good enough. All right. So, with my determination, my education, and my just endless sadness at the state of our nutrition in this country, I'm very determined to make this goal happen. I am reaching out through YouTube to try to find people who share my desires, my interests, to help me realize this goal through knowledge, skill, help, mentorship, and eventually to build a community of people who would like to see me succeed at this goal. Once I have that community, once I have built enough faith in it, that's the time for me to run a FundMe or a Kickstarter and try this out. Until then, I'll be studying, getting better, learning more about plants every day, trying things out, experimenting, and I'm going to record some of that. Recording it all just distracts me so much, and you'll be bored. Most of it's boring. So here we go. Prepare for excitement. Nah, it's going to be a good journey, and I hope that you'll join me. Thank you so much, and see you on the YouTube.